I, female, am one of 2 kids. My older sister, 28, was the golden child, and honestly I feel bad for her. My sister was a prodigy. She skipped 3 grades and was gifted in both academia and athleticism, and my parents made her life a nightmare. Her schedule was full: school, extracurriculars, sports, music lessons, dance lessons, etc. When I was very young, I was jealous of her. Then I turned 10 and started feeling really bad for her. She wasn't allowed friends, they would hold her back. Free time, she could have the rest of her life to enjoy after finishing medical school, or even the freedom to choose her future career or her own hobbies. It was all planned for her to maximize her chances to get into Harvard for pre-med and then Johns Hopkins for med school. When she graduated high school at 15, my parents uprooted us because they couldn't allow her to go to college independently, so we left Virginia to go to Massachusetts. I resented them so badly then, but I felt even more sympathy towards my sister because, for years, she'd been dreaming about finally having some freedom while in college. They continued with their intense control over her life. I graduated high school and 2 years later I left the whole country. That was how much I hated them. I moved to France, went to school here and currently work here. When my sister got into med school, they still maintained their controlling attitude. Then sadly, in late 2019, she suffered a psychotic break. To this day, she is still institutionalized because it developed into a full-on illness. When all the hopes they had hung on her ended in nothing, because of them, she started taking drugs because of how oppressive they were. They tried to do the same to me, but sadly for them, I was already a self-sufficient adult on the other side of the ocean, and they had no control over me. They are my sister's legal guardians, so I couldn't cut them off. They are exactly the type of people who would limit my contact with her, and lately they've been pestering me to give them my address. Apparently, they want to visit me and get to know my boyfriend. I refused and kept refusing, but I also feel a bit of guilt. Knowing my address does not mean they would be dropping in every weekend. They live in a completely different country, and my refusal makes my mom very sad. Also, I have a lot of friends saying that it's unreasonable. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Each paragraph kept getting worse. They moved to Massachusetts to control your sister, and they could do the same with you, so scratch that, to you. I'm not saying go no contact, but if they want to meet your boyfriend, go on a trip to see them. No need to give your address. OP, they've done this to themselves and are trying to drag you into it again. You don't owe them anything. Their complete lack of self-reflection is mind-blowing. Don't let them intrude further in the life you built for yourself. Keep them close enough to continue contact with your sis, because if you give them an inch, they will take a mile, as it sounds. Believe people when they show you who they are, as their actions speak much louder than words. It's very hard to lie through actions. They aren't interested in their daughters, just what their daughters' statuses can bring to them. That's quite horrific. These people drove your sister crazy to the point they ruined her life. So keep your distance and be very clear you do not owe them anything. Agree, go no contact. Hire a lawyer to sue for the right of visitation and communication. Save any messages indicating that they're using visitation for blackmail or retribution. You never have to set foot in the country. Let the lawyer deal with it, as many states have some degree of visitation rights for adults under guardianship. You can harangue them with lawyers to put their actions as a guardian under a microscope. Try to contest their guardianship. It isn't cheap, but you can dedicate yourself to breaking their control, making them miserable or getting them to capitulate. Sounds better than hiding or letting them win. Sorry you have parents like this, but you can't ever give them any control over you. If your sister was of sound mind, I'm sure her former self would tell you to let go, rather than get under their thumb. My husband has a friend Andy who can't hold down a job, and there's always something wrong where he can't afford his rent. Andy always asks for money or a loan he doesn't pay back. Finally, my husband gives in and gives it to him. I'm talking thousands of dollars over the last few years my husband has loaned him. A few months ago, I told my husband next time he gives Andy money, I'm gone. My husband was doing well until Andy showed up at our door last night and told my husband everyone had forgotten his birthday. So they go out for drinks. I do some snooping on Facebook, and Andy's birthday isn't until next month. And I screenshot a picture of my husband last year with him on Andy's real birthday in front of a Christmas tree. I go to the bar and show everyone that it's not Andy's birthday, and the room is dead silent. Andy said he put the wrong birthday on his Facebook account, So I showed him the picture of him from last year with the date posted of his real birthday. Andy said that was a mistake, and everyone thinks the December date is right because it's on his Facebook. I asked Andy to show everyone his driver's license, and he said he'd forgotten it. I asked the bartender if Andy could legally drink without proof of age, and the bartender said no. Andy refused to show his license and left. My husband said I was being a witch for no reason, but I reminded him that it's the first day of the month and Andy always comes around looking for extra money. We argued about Andy once again. My husband stayed with a friend and I'm packing up my things because he acts like I'm the idiot for coming to the bar and saying publicly what I said. Just curious, is your husband building an art room? Not the idiot. File for divorce and let your husband and Andy live happily ever after. You deserve better. For real. Your husband can adopt Andy if he wants to support him so badly financially. Andy is embarrassed for being called out because he got away with so much for so long. Your husband is embarrassed because that's his friend. OP, stand your ground. Money troubles await if your husband doesn't see the significance of giving out money to people without a second thought, who clearly won't pay a cent back. How good are any of those friends if none of them know Andy's birthday? I know some of my neighbours' birthdays. Andy is a leech. Your husband has on rose-coloured glasses, and those types of people deserve to be called out, even if it makes them uncomfortable. But honestly, screw that. He's cost you thousands of dollars. That's a whole vacation or a root canal, just because he takes advantage of others. I don't care if I caused a scene myself. This dude is actively swindling your husband and draining your finances. I don't care if they're his finances or not. You're married. If one person is struggling financially or making dumb decisions, then all the finances suffer together, not just his. And if they're shared? Heck no. Then he's actively lying to everyone about his birthday to mooch free drinks and money. My question is, why are they mad at you when you are exposed to everyone? They're getting scammed by someone they obviously care about. Who cares if it caused a scene at that point? Who cares if that man gets embarrassed? Embarrassment should be the least he gets from stealing thousands of dollars from a friend. You didn't go overboard. Your hubby wants to choose his leech of a friend over you. By all means, leave him. I've been terrified of dogs since I was young. My husband knew, but I don't think he realized how bad it was until recently. He got our son a dog, and at first I was angry, but he promised it wouldn't come near me and our son was really happy, so I agreed they could keep it as long as it was kept away from me. For 2 months it was fine and I barely thought about the dog being so close, but a few days ago the dog came inside and it freaked me out. I told my husband he had to get rid of it now since he broke his promise, and I didn't trust him to keep it away from me anymore. My husband doesn't want to get rid of it because our son is very attached to it and the dog is harmless according to him. He wants me to let him take me around the dog so I'll stop being scared of it, but I've refused and told him it had to go. We argued, and he told me that I would have to take it myself if I wanted it gone. My in-laws came to visit yesterday, and my mother-in-law asked me if something had happened between us because I'm still angry at him, and she noticed. I told her about the dog, and she told him off and said she taught him better than to traumatize his pregnant wife. Now my husband is upset at me because he thinks I only told his parents to force him to do what I wanted, and that we'd hurt our son if we got rid of the dog now. Am I the idiot? Everyone's the idiot here. If your phobia is that bad and you're unwilling to address it, you should never have allowed the dog to stay even one night. Your husband should never have gotten the dog without your consent, and the breeder or rescue should never have allowed him to have a dog without knowing all adults in the home were on board. Your son and a dog will be hurt because of your collective actions. This can't be real. Like, you seriously thought you'd be able to have no contact with a dog you live with? Wow, this is sad. I feel for the innocent dog and child in this situation. They've bonded. Do not downplay the hurt you two have caused to others. This is so wrong. Both adults are selfish. Honestly, mostly you are the idiot. Why did you let your son keep the dog for 2 months? What did you expect, that it would just stay outside forever? That's some idiotic behavior to begin with. Unless it's a dog that enjoys the outdoors, dogs need to be inside with their pack. So again, what did you expect would happen here? Your husband is obviously an idiot for apparently not realizing how frightened you are, but damn, take some ownership of this situation. You should have responsibly rehomed the dog immediately, instead of hurting both your son and the dog by allowing a relationship to form. You honestly sound so selfish. This is a horrible take. OP's not the idiot. Her husband knew she was terrified of dogs but got one anyway, without any discussion with her. You'll note she said, he got a dog, I agreed they could keep it. She doesn't say, I agreed they could get it, she says, keep it. Her husband didn't talk to her about it at first. You're calling her an idiot for getting lied to and manipulated. It may be frustrating that she was so naive, but it's still the husband's fault for knowingly making impossible promises. My girlfriend, 29, and I, 30 male, have been together for 4 years. We met through a mutual friend, so we have a lot of friends in common. But we both also have our own friend circles that we had before we met. My girlfriend is big on empathy, but also loves gossip and relationship drama. It's like a drug to her. So when she gets together with her gossipy friends with new tea to spill, it's like chum in the water to sharks. They aren't necessarily mean or judgmental, but I find it odd that they spend so much time talking about other people's lives. A couple of years ago, a longtime friend of mine was going through a rough patch with his longtime girlfriend. I will admit that their relationship was probably toxic and they weren't good for each other, but outside of my telling my friend that I was there for him if he needed anything, I stayed out of it. Not my girlfriend though. As soon as she saw signs of problems in their relationship, she started to seek out my friend's girlfriend to talk with her. She told me it was to ensure my friend wasn't hurting his girlfriend in any way. Well, she must have dished gossip to some other friends because pretty soon my friend called me out that people were talking about him badly. So I confronted my girlfriend about it, and she said she was concerned about my friend's girlfriend and just wanted to make sure everything was okay. So she asked some other people if they were concerned too. Well, it turns out there was a reason for concern, but not because of my friend. His girlfriend was hurting him, and he was too ashamed to talk about it. By the time that came out, his name had been dragged through the mud, and he cut many of our other friends and me out of his life. Right now, I have another friend who's engaged, and they postponed their wedding because they're having issues and are in counselling. My girlfriend told me she wanted to talk to my friend's fiancé, and I told her to mind her own business and to stay out of it. I told her she'd already cost me one friendship with her meddling, and I didn't want her to do that again. She said that was different, but I don't think it is. I told her that if she wanted to gossip about her friends, she could do that all day, but when it comes to my friends, she needs to keep her nose out of their business because she only does more harm than good. I caught her on the phone talking to a friend about how I'm forbidding her from making sure my friend's fiancé is okay and that she's just concerned about her. I didn't even let her hang up the phone. I just yelled at her that her meddling in other people's lives was messed up and that she needed to find a hobby that didn't involve ruining other people's lives and friendships. She got mad at me and called me a controlling idiot. She said that men don't understand how women need to look out for each other and she's just trying to be a good friend. So I brought up my friend, who cut me off, and asked if she was a good friend in that situation, and she called me an idiot again. Not the idiot. She's one of those people who are so obsessed with drama to gossip about that she creates her own. She ended up ruining a victim's life so she could have a little gossip session. She spreads rumors without proof and goes into situations with the story already in her mind. This is extremely toxic and benefits no one. She doesn't care about your friend group outside of gossip material. There are some serious, huge red flags here about this woman. Your girlfriend got a big old case of the savior syndrome. Holy Batman, she unknowingly helped an abuser and after it came out, doubled down? She's so damn harmful. And the fact that she can only call you an idiot when you brought up your friend who was struggling. Did she even apologize? And your poor friend. I'm not the one to say break up, but if you're asking and she's refusing and actively causing harm, it might be time to let her go. Who the heck thinks that their support is so bloody important to anyone who's not even their own friend? She doesn't even have her phone number or social media. She's not friends. OP, think about this in the future as well. Any issues your friends have is one thing, but imagine having kids with someone who cannot understand privacy and personal space. Last week, Friday, my son Tween got his phone confiscated at school. He was mucking around with it during class, and the school rules are clear about phone usage during class without permission, so I totally understood. The normal protocol is that the phone would go to the office and be returned to the student at the end of the day or the next day. However, his teacher apparently forgot to stop by the office before going home after school, so she accidentally took it home with her, and through some negligence, the phone broke in her toddler's hands. Admittedly, she was very upfront about it and even came to our house personally to tell us what happened and apologise, which I respect. She suggested a repayment plan for the phone and offered an old phone of hers for him in the meantime, but it was essentially a brick with a screen. After she left, I emailed the school about everything simply because it's something the school should also be involved in, since she's a teacher and easily took home a confiscated device, albeit by mistake. I received a response Monday morning, apologising for what happened and promising to address the issue. So my sister-in-law works at the high school but smokes with the teachers at the junior school. She bumped into this teacher who was angry and said that we were being idiots reporting it since she'd already promised to pay for the phone and offered an alternative. She's a good teacher, so we're messing with her career unnecessarily. So, yeah, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. The teacher didn't follow guidelines, albeit your son was in the wrong. However, phone prices scaled, and she had no reason to take it home with her. How her toddler then got hold of it and broke it is an entirely different issue. The teacher is upset she got in trouble for not following the rules, just like your son was upset his phone was taken for not following the rules. Right? Like, I get that accidents happen and I could understand her forgetting to drop it off and take it home. However, how her toddler just happened to get a hold of it seems really odd to me. I mean, does she habitually toss her purse at the kid and let them have at it? That seems pretty unlikely and wildly unsafe. Reporting her was the right move. If you confiscate something in school, you're taking responsibility for it. The toddler broke it? I'm wondering if OP's son's phone had a passcode or lock or not. Maybe the teacher let the toddler play games or watch videos on it. Why else did she stick it in her purse? It's also really inappropriate to have a big financial transaction like that between a teacher and a family. Exactly, she should have reported it to the school first. By going directly to you, she was hoping to keep it unofficial. She made an honest mistake. If she'd reported it, the school probably would have paid for the phone and figured out a policy for dropping confiscated phones off after hours. Now she's in much hotter water. Her fault. You were in the right to keep things official.